They're going to enforce this country's border laws like they've never been enforced before. But that's not, I don't think that's off base at all. That's what the law requires of the executive branch.
Well, Trump's yet to comment. J.D. Vance, the incoming vice president, has said it's a fantastic pick. Joining us now is Chris Licata, a Republican strategist and Navy veteran based in Florida. Good evening, Chris.
Good evening. How are you?
Very well. So we've got this appointment of the border czar, Tom Homan. The United Nations ambassador, Elise Stefanik, and Chief of Staff Susie Wiles was announced over the weekend. What do you make of Donald Trump's appointments so far? Are you impressed? Are they expected?
Not only am I impressed, but I'm excited to be on point for so far for Tom Homan. I had him pegged for border on my bingo card that you can find on Twitter. So I'm curious to see how right exactly I am.
Okay, tell us what we should expect from Tom Homan. He's got an incredibly tough job to do. Immigration was one of the sort of key election pledges, one of the key points that Donald Trump was elected into office on, and so it has to be made right.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of tools. Immigration is one of those things that is deferred very, very largely to the executive branch. It is deferred to the president, and the president has a large ability to, by executive order, defer that to either the Secretary of Homeland Security or the Director of U.S. Immigrations and Customs, and then give that person the authority to do whatever is necessary to effectuate the laws that are actually already on the books. We don't need an act by Congress. We don't need we need funding, sure, but the funding's there, so long as Congress doesn't tie it in red tape. So we're good to go.
Is it concerning at all that Homan contributed to Project 2025, this 900-page policy wish list authored by a conservative think tank, the Heritage Foundation? Do we need to be worried about that?
No, not at all. Look, at the end of the day, the president is the commander in chief. The president is where the buck stops here, and the president's going to be making the calls. I think Project 2025 was a think tank of a lot of conservatives who were, trying to put a bunch of policies together. Should a different Republican become the nominee? But that didn't happen. Donald Trump has disavowed Project 2025, and we're moving forward with Donald Trump's vision for the Republican Party and for the United States.
He's quite outspoken, isn't he, Homan? I think we can sort of gather that from that Fox News interview. And he was made a few media appearances over the weekend. He is quite a force to be reckoned with.
Well, absolutely, and that's exactly what we need in this position. Any locality, any state that thinks that it's going to continue to harbor illegal aliens while they harm American citizens, you have laws on the books, and he can use those laws, and hopefully the Attorney General, when that person is named, will team up with Tom, and they will get after it. They're going to enforce this country's border laws like they've never been enforced before. But that's not, I don't think that's off base at all. That's what the law requires of the executive branch.
Okay. We've also seen United Nations Ambassador Elise Stefanik announced. Chief of Staff Susie Wiles was over the weekend. And of course, much speculation. It looks like it will happen. Stephen Miller will become Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy. Tell us what that role entails and why Stephen Miller is the man favourite to take it.
Yeah, Stephen Miller, fantastic guy, longtime Trump circle guy. He's very much rumored to be the next deputy White House chief of staff. And for policy, that's a huge thing. That is the person that needs all the connections on the Hill to move forward the agenda. And I mean, he served as a speechwriter for Trump in the past. He has the connections on the Hill. And that's I think the big thing here is that Susie doesn't necessarily have the connections on the Hill in the same way.
This is the Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles.
Correct, correct. The she's coming from a Tallahassee background, from a Florida background, not a DC background, which is fantastic and rare for a chief of staff to come in from a state. But Stephen, coming from the first administration as a speechwriter, as a special advisor to the president, serving closely with Jared Kushner, he's going to have he has the background of having all the connections with the Hill, and I think that's really important.
Okay.
Being that the chief of staff doesn't.
What has been made over there of the Kremlin's denial that there was indeed last week a phone call between Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, and Donald Trump? What have you made of that over there?
Well, look, I don't have any information whether or not there was or was not a phone call.
Well,
It is
I mean,
normal.
Trump's team are saying that there was. I mean, the US
Of
have
course,
said, yes,
of course,
yes,
and I
the
fully
phone call took
anticipate that
place.
there. Yeah, and I fully expect that there was indeed a phone call because that's normal, normal international procedure for every executive of every country to call a new executive and congratulate them on becoming the incoming executive. Obviously things are being said by the Trump administration in the United States that are making it ominous that Russia's in a position to deny that, the call didn't have anything to do with Ukraine. I just congratulated him and we got off the phone, or well, there was no call. But this is typical.
Hard to know
Like
the
this is what
content.
Russians do.
I should correct myself and just say that as of at the moment, Trump's team has not yet confirmed the call. It was, of course, a Washington Post article that detailed
That's what
that,
I thought.
usually pretty well sourced. But yes, an interesting denial by the Kremlin. Does that indicate just what kind of a working relationship, obstructive maybe, that they're going to have with Donald Trump? Who knows? Look, great to speak to you. Thank you very much, Chris Licata. You can find his bingo card on all those appointments. There are many more, of course, to be made by Donald Trump. Chris is a Republican strategist and Navy veteran based in Florida. Thanks, Chris.
You're very welcome. Have a great day.
Thank you. This is the evening edition on Times Radio. Coming up, it's time for the Crick of It. Michael Crick is back, the veteran political journalist. We'll be talking about farmers who are continuing to put their foot down over how they're being treated by this government, particularly in light of that budget. And we'll be talking post office scandal as well. We saw Kemi Badenoch in the hot seat today at the inquiry. All that to come. Let's get a news update first from Rachel Jules.